I'm happy when I find a VERO item. When I find an item that's not VERO, if it's an item that is sold and is getting me 20% margin, I will still list it. If I'm getting less than 10% margin, I wouldn't list a VERO. eBay has a policy, a title duplicate policy. The goal of the policy is that if you find a title that works, they don't want you technically very similar item for that title. You may get a lot more items show up per seller when you do the competitive research, but finding those profitable items would be a little more difficult. What's up guys, Mark Augustine here, and in this video I'm going to answer Jared. So who is Jared? Jared is a member, one of you guys who follows me, who also joined the 90-day $25,000 challenge group. I'll put a link to that group in the description. And he asked 5 questions, kind of following up on what I am doing with my store compared to like what I'm showing online. So these are the 5 questions. So question number 1, I filtered by 4 sales in 30 days. The first item had a $100 list price and sold 10 total times. I could straight up snipe it, get 100% markup. It seemed too good to be true. Then I noted it hadn't sold in 3 weeks. I searched for it on eBay and it has already been sniped and listed for much lower. How much do you dig into the data, and do you ever look for less sales but a more recent time frame? So I see what you're saying. So yes, so I come up with that situation some of the times. So you filter by 4, you're listing, you're generally seeing 10%, 20%, 30%. But this time you notice something strange. So because you dug into it, you realize that because that is an anomaly, some of the items that you did not dig into before may be anomalies. So I get what you're saying. Now, I personally don't dig in too much. I try to set my goals listing. Let's say if I want to list 40 this certain session, I'll go to 40 and try not to get distracted too much within the time frame. Well, if I get to 40 early, or if I take 5 minutes, yes, I might dig into anomaly like you did, but that's a good question. But yeah, I try not to dig in too much, because you could get sidetracked and then you could be digging into every title and then you're not efficient at that point. So I try not to do that too much. Number 2, it seems like almost every item I find is VERO. So when you're sniping and when you're product substitution, you're going to find a lot more VERO items. It could feel that way. Sometimes you may be sniping or product substitution one seller, and that seller that you're sniping would have been selling a lot of VERO items. I'm happy when I find a VERO item. When I find an item that's not VERO, if it's an item that is sold and is getting me 20% margin, I will still list it. If I'm getting less than 10% margin, I wouldn't list a VERO item. So that's a kind of tricky personal thing. It's not like I completely stay away from VERO items, but like if the title does not have the brand in it, I will definitely list it. And those type of personal decisions. So question 3, if you find multiple product substitutions that fit the title, can you list all of them? Or can you only use that title once? So that's a tricky thing. And when I say tricky, eBay has a policy, a title duplicate policy. And what the goal of the policy is that if you find a title that works, they don't want you to have a ton of technically the very similar item for that title. But if, for example, if I find 2 different weed whackers the same length and I could both beat the price, I might list both of them because they're 2 different brands. But if I find 2 of the same brand at different colors, no, then you want to put that into like a variation listing, and you don't want to make that another listing. So I hope I answered your question number 3. Question number 4. A lot of the items were just snipes and I couldn't find substitutions. They were still profitable, so I listed them, but not huge margins. Would you still list those? Yes, I definitely. When I find snipe items that I find 10%, I try not to go a lot lower than 10%. But if I find a snipe item, I'm still happy about it. So I definitely list snipe items that are less than like 20%. But I try, back in the day, I would like list at 5% and so on. Now I'm being a little more, I'm playing with the margins to get to 25,000. To get to sell, like after this 90-day challenge, I want to take the account to 100,000. I may have to go down to 10%, but anyway. Hopefully I answered that question. When you're building your sellers list, are you only looking for sellers listing close to 100% markup? I started out by taking anyone at 50% or higher. So Jared, what you'll notice is if you started at 50% or higher, you may get a lot more items show up per seller when you do the competitive research, but finding those profitable items would be a little more difficult. Now I'm coming out with something that even automates that, so that's not going to matter soon. But anyway, so hopefully I answered that question. So yeah, I would stick to the higher ones. I would stick to 75%. I wouldn't go as low as 50%. So okay, Jared, hopefully I answered your 5 questions. Like, subscribe. Those of you guys who are following the channel, if you want access to the 90-day roadmap, I'll put a link to the description, and then that small group who ask questions, I'll do videos for you guys. Like, subscribe, let me know in the comment section how I can help you. Check in the description for the free resources. Later.